Very good afternoon, one and all. Introducing our session chief guest, Dr. Ampress P. Ombalgi, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE, Mangalore University, Karnataka. Sir has received his BE degree in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Visvesvaraya Technological University, Belgium, APPA, Institute of Engineering and Technology in the year 2006. Sir has received the MTech degree in Communication Systems Engineering from PDA College of Engineering, Kulbarga, Karnataka in the year of 2008. Sir has obtained doctoral degree in the field of microwave electronics from the Department of PG Studies and Research in Applied Electronics, Gulbarga University, Karnataka in the year 2013. His research interest involves design, development, and parametric performance and study of microstrip antenna for RF and microwave front ends. Currently, Sir is working as assistant professor in the Department of Electronics, Mangalore University, Karnataka. Sir has membership in various professional bodies like ISTE and IEI, like that. He has published more than 50 papers in various journals and conferences. Sir has received the award of Rajiv Gandhi National Fellowship in the year 2009 to 2012. Sir has received Certificate of Excellence from India Education Expo 2014 held at Noida, UP. Sir has received Young Faculty Award from Center for Advanced Research and Design. Sir has been appointed as a honorary chief advisor of World Association for Scientific Research and Technical Innovation. He is a member of BOS, BOE, PhD doctoral committee member at Department of Electronics in Mangalore University, Mysore University, and Gulbarga University. It is our pleasure to have you here, our session chief guest. Thank you for accepting our invitation to deliver address in your busy schedule. We are really honored to have you here as our speaker for the session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Dear participants, at this juncture, I would like to bring out a point to all your kind notice. He is suffering from some medical illness in a short while ago. About 1 or 2 days, the symptoms appeared, and now it is getting into the cycle of those 5 days. Now, he is extremely in a tough situation. He is unable to continuously deliver his lecture. But even at this situation, he doesn't want to disappoint all of us. Yesterday night, he recorded a lecture and shared it with us, asked us to play it back in the forum. He said that he will join us as a passive member available in this forum itself. If anything is required from his party, he is ready to clarify. Dear participants, his medical conditions do not allow him to speak continuously. I hope you would agree with me. You can understand the situation also. But his generosity and enthusiasm towards keeping up the promise are to be highly appreciated. Yesterday night itself, we started looking for one more guest speaker who was already considered for some other FDP program to be conducted in our college. But from the way in which Dr. Ambaresh Ambalgi made a conversation with all of us and made us to feel enthusiastic, I was really amazed to have his videos, right? So I just request all of you, we all can pray to Almighty for a speedy recovery. I hope you would agree with me. You will accept my point. His lecture prolongs for more than 1 hour. I know that it is very tough. But at this situation, he has recorded a lecture for more than 1 hour. We shall all appreciate his efforts. Kindly listen to his words. I know that it can be made clear because we listened to his voice multiple times yesterday night over the system. We were really satisfied. But in the morning when we phoned up to him, his family members say that he is suffering from severe body pain and some more other symptoms also. So we all request our participants to listen to this video, what he has given today. It is not about striving for faculty. It is essential that he has to share his knowledge, whatever he has acquired from this field, and wanted to share with his fellow researchers. That's more important than anything else. So let us all listen to him through his video lecture. At the end, if you have queries, kindly fill up those queries in the feedback form. He was really enthusiastic. I know that he is present in another name in this video, the forum. I've seen that number also. So I request all of you to give your cheerfulness and pray to Almighty for a speedy recovery. I hope you can understand my point. Is that clear? Shall we go ahead? Kaushik sir, shall we?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Please. Please. We'll start.
Thank you, Professor Shalini Ishwaramurthy, madam. Thanks for your kind concern. Sir, the forum is open for presentation, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon to all the participants and the young budding research students. I am Dr. Amrish, working as assistant professor in the Department of PG Studies and Research in Electronics, Mangalore University. Well, at the outset, I feel very happy to be associated with the Saranathan College of Engineering in sharing my knowledge with respect to the antenna subject. Basically, this is a very wide, vast subject, and the topic is very important nowadays because everything we are getting connected wirelessly is because of the antenna. So we could not even thought of getting connected through the wired form. The one very important thing is that whatever the wireless industry that we are connecting here is due to the rapid growth in the last few decades in the form of a new and a cheaper wireless services that are emerging continuously. Basically, it is due to the advances in the digital signal processing as well as digital and RF circuit fabrication technologies, whether it is concerned with the large scale circuit integration or the medium scale circuit integration. Even if you take into the consideration of digital switching techniques, okay, which involves some new radio communication networks, and in coming future we are also going to enjoy the service of the fifth generation. And then of course there are some quite people are raising some questions with respect to the fifth generation. And definitely there is some other aspect of it which is going to be looked upon, and the things will be improved in coming future. So there is a convergence of different wireless technologies, whether it is with respect to the internet or broadband communication or any other cellular services or personal communication system networks or WLAN networks or any DOT networks which are being used in some military US applications. So there is a rapid growth when you take in the last few decades. Okay, and antenna plays to be a very important role, and it is acting like a middleman between the non-living devices, I can say, with respect to the human beings. Okay, so I would like to go directly into the topic, and the topic which was being allotted to me is the radiation mechanism of antennas along with the EBC system. But I would like to give you some advanced designs which are being designed in our laboratory, the Department of Electronics, Mangalore University. So I'll be showing some of the designs along with the results which we have extracted. Okay, so once again, I thank the organizing committee of Saranathan College of Engineering, Tamil Nadu, in collaboration with USCT, Training and Learning Metal Academy, for providing this opportunity. Well, this is a very basic slide, and whatever the topic which is given to me is a kind of a very basic topic. And in the meanwhile, when I go into some deep aspect of this antenna and what this antenna structures are there, how the designs can be done, and how basically these antennas are helpful for some wireless communication, all those things I'll be dealing with, along with some design thing. How to design, basically how to design an antenna and what are the design equations. Okay, so basically we will be going in depth regarding all these things. In introduction part, well, we are not only enjoying the services, whatever the wireless communication services are there. For example, if you take the smartphone, okay, we are able to connect from one particular remote area to the another remote area, whether it is satellite-based services are there, whether it's telecommunication-based, whether it's a WLAN connection, internet-based connection, okay, whether it's a connectivity between the two different industries, or the signal transmission happening from the space to the land. Okay, so all these are being only realizable only because of the antennas. And the classification of the frequencies has also been done by the US academy, and we have a different set of frequencies, okay, starting from ELF to EHF, which are being shown on this particular slide. So the devices are being connected wirelessly, and before to this it was the era of the wired form, but due to some huge drawbacks, the people have moved from wired domain to the wireless domain. Well, we need to understand what is an antenna first. Okay, how do you define? In different contexts, the antenna is being defined in different manner. Okay, as per the IEEE standard 145 defined in the year 1983. Okay, it is defined as a means for radiating or receiving the radio waves, or which it can be defined as a piece of conducting material in the form of a wire, rod, or any other shape with some excitation. Okay, there are some more definitions out there. Anything, any of these could be fine as far as the definition of antenna is considered. Okay, it is a sensor of the electromagnetic waves. It is an antenna which is acting as a transducer. Okay, it is an impedance matching device. It can be a coupler between the generator and the free space. Okay, so vice versa. So the below figure also shows the block diagram of the communication system. Okay, wherein there is a generator which generates the source signal, and that signal is to be transmitted to the receiver side with the help of the transmitter. Okay, the processing tasks, all the processing tasks are done on the transmitter side, where it is converting the analog signal to some electrical signal with the help of a transducer. Okay, so all those different tasks are being done. If we want any signal to be encrypted or any signal to be sent through some secure way of transmission, so we do it at the transmitter side. And it can only be done only because of the antennas which are being set at the transmitter side as well as at the receiver side. So the services are exchanged, the information is exchanged, the data is exchanged, okay, and the signal is being exchanged only because of the antennas which are being reflected from the transmitter side and the receiver side. Well, I'd like to go in some of the aspect of the people who are behind the subject electromagnetic radiation or the antennas or the wireless communication. Okay, we should always be indebted to a few of the eminent physicists. Okay, and which I will listed here. Okay, starts with James Clerk Maxwell, Nikola Tesla, Heinrich Hertz, Claude Shannon, J.C. Bose, J. Marconi, Michael Faraday, and there are many people out there, Max Planck, okay, so Albert Einstein. So there are many people who have put a lot of efforts in the field of wireless communication, and so whatever the services which we are enjoying, it is because of these people who have done a lot of research in those 1800 eras, and also there was a technological breakthrough only in the Second World War. Okay, so there are many instances that are there with respect to this. I would like to quote one thing here. many of you have heard about the RMS Titanic boat. Okay, so that RMS Titanic boat was in that particular boat, the whatever the wireless transmitting antenna was being used, that antenna was being designed by Guglielmo Marconi. Okay, so the antenna, most of the people do not know this particular aspect. They only know that the ship was sunk and the many people have died, but few people have been rescued. It is only because of the antenna which was being used on the RMS Titanic boat, because that was designed by Guglielmo Marconi. And of course, whether it is even some of the research, okay, which deals with respect to the Nikola Tesla's work, okay, it was framed and it was being told that whatever the demonstration of the electrical signals are there, some the first wireless transmission of the signals are there. So all these things were predicted and they were tested practically by the Nikola Tesla. Okay, so and coming to the aspect of Heinrich Rudolf Hertz, when he was the first person to practically demonstrate and practically send the EM wave from one region to the another region, that is a transatlantic ocean between the England to the military base. So he was the first person to send the wireless signals. When it comes to the information theory and whether it is with respect to coding of the signals and using some algorithms in order to send the information in the secured manner, so Claude Shannon played a very important role, and we had some good algorithms, encrypting algorithms, decrypting algorithms, and we used some of the very important these type of algorithms in order to code signals. Then we should not even forget the contribution of the J.C. Bose. Okay, so in the Indian context, he was the first person to receive an indigenous, and he also said that it was told that whatever the patents, the Marconi and the Hertz, they got it. So it was the earlier work of the J.C. Bose, and it was supposed to be a patent on the name of J.C. Bose, but somehow they removed it and they got the patent. Okay, and Guglielmo Marconi, and very important in J.C. Bose had also put forth the concept of crystallograph. Okay, I hope many of the people know the concept of crystallograph equipment, which is used to sense the electrical signals association in the plant life. Okay, so he injected a kind of a chemical which is injected into the plant base. So what it has induced is that after sometimes the plant would be dead, and there is a transmission of signals is happening with respect to this. So that was being demonstrated by the J.C. Bose using the crystallograph equipment. So Guglielmo Marconi again. Okay, so there are some analogies are there, and there are some facts are there with respect to the Guglielmo Marconi work as well as the Michael Faraday work. So all these people have made their own significant contribution in the field of antenna and predominantly in the field of wireless communication. Coming to the set of equations that is put forth by the Maxwell, James Clerk Maxwell's, which are called as the Maxwell's equation. Okay, so these are the four different equations. I will tell you what are these four different equations. Okay, and on the extreme right hand side, you have the Hertz experimentation, okay, wherein he demonstrated that the electromagnetic waves are generated and it can be transmitted wirelessly. Okay, and the signal information, it can be exchanged. And this is the setup which was being used, which was being developed by Heinrich Rudolf Hertz. Okay, you can see that in the bottom side there is a high voltage electric source which is connected to this particular model. So there is a metal rod between these two things, which is connected to this particular high voltage electrical source. Okay, and these two round shaped, which looks like to be a balls are nothing but the capacitors which are used to store the energy. Okay, so whenever the electrical signal is excited through this wire to this two metallic rods. Okay, so there is no contact is established between the two different rods. But when the electric signals are being made to pass through these two non-contact electrical rods, there is a spark getting generated. And on the other side, there is a loop antenna, okay, which is a circular loop antenna, and also there is no contact between this particular two different ends of this particular loop antenna, which is acting as a receiver. Okay, so you could see that the sparks which are getting generated on the one side of the transmitter made to exact the another side of the receiver, wherein we have the sparks getting generated. But there is a kind of the distance aspect is involved in this. Okay, and he perfectly demonstrated that there exist the electromagnetic waves. We can transmit the signal wirelessly from one end to the another end. But before to this, as I said that some of the works were also being quoted by Nikola Tesla, whether it is the transmission of signals are there, whether it is the generation of electrical sparks are there, and whether it is the study of this particular the signals which are transmitted from transmitter end to the receiver end. So this is the experimental work which was being carried out by Heinrich Rudolf Hertz. I would like to go into the context of Maxwell's equations, what those Maxwell's equations mean. First, Maxwell's equation it generally consists of a special form of Coulomb's law known as Gauss law of electricity, wherein you have the positive charge and you have the negative charge. And the electric field lines basically it originates on the positive charges and it ends on the negative charges. So this is what the first equation means, okay, with respect to the Maxwell's laws of equations. The second equation, definitely it is the Gauss law for magnetism. It states that the magnetic field lines are continuous with no beginning or no end to it. Okay, continuously they are being generated from the north pole to the south pole of the magnet. So this particular law we call it as the Gauss law for magnetism. Coming to the third equation, which is nothing but the Faraday's law of induction, which basically includes the Lenz's law also. So what this states or what it means is there is a changing magnetic field which basically induces the electromotive force where the direction of force opposes this particular change. Okay, so this equation we call it as the Faraday's law of induction, and it includes Lenz's law. And the last, that is the fourth equation, is the Ampere's law. The magnetic field are generated by moving charges or by the changing electric field. So these four different equations are very important equations, okay, and which put forth the theoretical concept laid by the Maxwell, James Clerk Maxwell, and later on it was being practically demonstrated by Heinrich Rudolf Hertz and even the Marconi took into the aspect of transmitting the signal over the transatlantic ocean between the Cornwall, England, and to the military base. Okay, so these were the some of the historical facts with respect to the work. And coming to the first consideration with respect to the antennas are there are two important points are involved in this. Most of the antennas are metallic in nature, and there is a huge majority of the antennas are based on the resonators. You need to design the antenna very carefully, and you need to fix the frequency so that the antenna gets resonated at that particular frequency. Yeah, there may be some cases, there may be some instances wherein the design frequency is taken to be of the one kind, but the whatever the result is obtained, whatever the resonated frequency is obtained, that places to be on the different resonance. So those type of antennas are of not usable in most of the applications. Okay, for theoretical point of view, we can keep those antennas, but it cannot be used in some of the practical applications. And even the present trend, whether it is with respect to fifth generation or else even with respect to the sixth generation technology, which is under research in some of the major countries. Okay, so there is a need for the antennas to be designed at some particular resonance. Okay, so that is very, very important. And the radiation mechanism, in a very crude sense, if I just want to say, there should be a change in the, or there should be a motion in the free electrons. Okay, so when the free electrons are moving erratically and they are at a particular speed or at a random motion, they contributes to something which we call it as a distribution of charges, and there generates the radiation. Okay, so currents and the charges are created as a basic source with respect to the electromagnetic field. This is the small example like how the radiation mechanism happens to be. Okay, so in this wire, there is whatever the orange kind of a structure you are seeing. That is it's a kind of a wire, or else you can take it as a piece of a thin rod. So charges are transmitted over a particular metal at a particular, if at all if it is a transmitter, or if the charges are moved at a constant speed, then it doesn't produce any radiation. So there is no radiation, okay, in this particular case. So if the charges are encountered with some discontinuity, if there is any bend kind of a thing, so there is some radiation that is being discharged. And in some resonance structure, charges continuously oscillate, creating a continuous stream of radiation. So there should be a continuous change in the or the motion of the free electrons has to be there, so that the radiation comes out of that particular element. So these are a few structures, okay, which wherein you can see the A type one is a curved one, B type one is a bent one. Okay, there is a discontinuity in the C type, and in the D type there is a connectivity with respect to the load impedance, and the third one is a truncated. So in all the cases, the radiation is happening, and we could see that there is absolutely we can come to the conclusion that the principle of whatever the principle of radiation is there, it is with respect to the time varying current. Okay, so like if you take the instance of the charges which are not moving, I can say that the current is not created, and I can come to the conclusion that there is no radiation. Well, if the charges is moving with the uniform velocity, well, of course, again, it won't contribute for any radiation. And the another case is like there won't be any radiation in the wire if the wire is straight or in the infinite in extent. Okay, so this is the another context, and there is a radiation, or there will be a radiation in the wire if it is a curved, if it is a bent, or else if there is a terminated structure is there, or else if there is a truncated. The charges in the oscillation in the time domain basically it radiates, and even if the wire is a straight manner. Okay, so you should keep in mind all these different points, and you need to design an antenna very properly. Well, this is with respect to the dipole antenna. What I have done is, this is even quoted in some of the books. Okay, there is a input source given, and the other end of that particular antenna is a little bit truncated, wherein you can see that the waves are moving out of that particular truncation. So the arms of the this particular line are moved away, and there happens to be a current distribution, okay, which is being eliminated out of it. So when the ends are being completely faced at 90 degrees to each other, okay, there is of course there are some in-phase currents which are being generated, and there happens to be an effective radiation, and this concept basically we call it as the concept of dipole antenna. So the radiation mechanism is basically explained with one of the important type of an antenna, which we call it as a dipole antenna. Well, whatever the antenna radiation is there, or whether it's a radio waves or any other microwaves, it all comes into the impact of electromagnetics. Okay, we have so many other applications wherein the electromagnetic signals are being used, whether it is a wireless communication and its propagation, designing of the antenna and its analysis, whether it's electromagnetic interference analysis is there, electromagnetic compatibility analysis is there. Even in some of the MEMS we use electromagnetic study, lasers and optoelectronics, even in computer chip design and circuits, biomedical engineering and biotech. So in all these different studies, even some of the applications, we take into the effect of the electromagnetics. Well, I would like to go into the a topic which is of major concern to me, and study I do research in this particular area. Okay, the topic which I'm going to discuss is called as a microstrip antenna. Well, I would even quote some history behind this particular microstrip antenna. Well, the invention of the microstrip antenna was first being put forth by D.D. Gregg and H.F. Eagleman in the year 1952. Okay, but later on, the idea of this microstrip antenna was being traced to in the year 1953 by Professor G.A. Deschamps. Okay, and there was a patent in the year 1955 by H. Galton and G. Bassinot. Okay, it's very important to remember these names. Okay, it's a kind of a survey behind the antennas, especially the microstrip antennas impact, which are being used in the modern mobile communication, the satellite-based applications, whatever the array antennas are there, PFA antennas are there, EBG structures are there, okay, and there are so many other types of the microstrip antennas, okay, which are fabricated with the help of different feeding techniques. Okay. After this, it was basically invented by Bob Munshan in the year 1972. Okay, but again, it goes back to the works of the Deschamps, which were carried out in the year 1953, and there was a it became popular in the year 1970s. Okay, so all literature with respect to all these this particular history is shown on the slide. You can go through all those papers that are very good papers. You'll understand, you'll gain the knowledge with respect to this particular or whatever the references which are being indicated here. Well, the geometry, generally, if you look at the geometry of the microstrip antenna, okay, so there is a dielectric substrate what we are choosing. So on both, it could be a copper substrate, it could be RT Durite substrate, it could be any substrate. Okay, so in some context we are taking the foam kind of a substrate. In other context we are taking air as the dielectric medium. Okay, and we are studying the different antenna parameters with respect to those things. So in a very basic sense, this is the geometry of the microstrip antenna. In a very crude sense, I can put it. Okay, whatever the black portion, the small portion on that particular dielectric substrate which you are seeing is a radiating patch. Okay, it could have the different shape. Okay, it has got its own design issue. It has got its own design in terms of the length, width. Okay, so you need to design properly, and you need to resonate. You get the proper resonances if the designed parameters are taken into the consideration in a very proper manner. And especially these microstrip antennas are being used for the microwave frequencies. And on the other side, you could place a ground a plane, which is again a copper plate, or else you could go for some stacking kind of a purple plane geometry. You could even add some air gap between the dielectric substrate and the other second dielectric material. Okay, so there are different types of geometries are also being encompassed in this particular microstrip antenna. Okay, it is not restricted to a particular design. It is not restricted to a particular context. There are even the research going on in the form of the antenna which are being put inside the flesh of that particular animal. Okay, even the cloth-based antennas are also being fabricated, and even in some of the biomedical applications also these antennas are being used, and it is going to be used in coming future. Well, this is the simple shape as you can see on the slide. This is the rectangular microstrip antenna, wherein it has got its own length and width again. Okay, you have some design equations in order to get the length of the antenna as well as the width of the antenna. You could exact this particular antenna with the help of coaxial feed technique, or else proximity feed technique, or else even you can use a step line feed technique. Okay, so there are so many excitation methods are there. Okay, you could design it first, and then you could go for the excitation mechanism. Well, one important thing what I would like to tell here is before designing any antennas, okay, you could go for some simulation, perform different iterations so that you get the proper resonance for the design as far as the design frequency is considered. Okay, so unless and until if you are not getting the proper resonance, I think the design or else whatever the fabricated antennas are there, it is of waste, what I feel. Okay, so as you can see on the slide, the radiation happens to be along the width. Okay, so there is a when you try to exact it through the coaxial feed, which is connected to through the 50 ohm SMA connector, the fringing fields occurs at the edge of the width of this particular patch, which are called as the radiating edges. So the edges along the length we call it as a non-radiating edges, and the edges along the width we call it as a radiating edges. Okay, you could even exact this particular patch with respect to usage of the microstrip field line. So when you try to use different types of feeding techniques, you get the different results. Okay, when you try to use a different type of the structures, different types of the dielectric material, you get the different and you get the different numerous results. You have the different parameters, okay, which are to be considered when you try to design microstrip antennas or microwave integrated circuit. Okay, so some of the important parameters that are to be considered when you are trying to design microwave integrated circuit or MSA are like dielectric constant has to be considered, thickness has to be considered, width has to be considered, radiation has to be considered. In all the different MICs or MSA, the dielectric constant are chosen. In MIC, it has to be large, and in microstrip antenna, it has to be very small. It is a directly dependent factor on the bandwidth. Okay, the thickness, it should be small in case of MIC, and it should be large in case of microstrip antenna. But the surface waves again it plays a very dominant role here. You should design it properly so that the surface excitation it gets reduced. Okay, so the width is generally large in case of microstrip antenna. Well, again, it's an important factor wherein the radiation happens to be more, and you could even get the broader bandwidth as far as the larger width in the MSA is concerned. Okay, and the smaller impedance is there in case of microwave integrated circuits. So maximum radiation is there in case of microstrip antenna and the minimum radiation in case of MIC. It is only because of the fringing fields which are generated in the edges of the width of the patch. Okay, and you could even quote the examples here. Microstrip antennas. Okay, filters, power dividers, couplers, and the amplifiers are used in MICs. Very common and the basic substrates for MSS are microstrip antennas are alumina, and you have the dielectric constant shown 9.8, loss tangent 0.01. Its cost is very high. Okay, now, most people are using glass epoxy FR4. Okay, which has got its own dielectric constant 4.4. Loss tangent is a little bit small, 0.02, and its cost is very low. So you can use different types of the dielectric substrate, RT duride, foam, or air. You need to use all these dielectric constant when you try to design the antenna. So unless and until if you don't know the dielectric constant or the loss tangent, okay, you'll not be able to come up with the proper design of the microstrip antenna. When you speak of microstrip antenna or any technology, there are some advantages associated with, and there are the disadvantages associated with. Many of the advantages which are being listed out, it's lightweight, the volume is very low, its profile structure is also very low, planar configuration. Okay, the planar configuration, it gets nullified when we try to use coaxial feed technique, because you need to drill a hole through the patch and you need to exact that particular antenna when you are feeding the microstrip antenna with respect to coaxial feed technique. So there the planar configuration get nullified. And the second advantage is the low fabrication cost and the ease of mass production. You could even obtain the different polarization techniques. In earlier days, you could only have the linear and the circular polarization, but nowadays we have the combined form of the polarization, which could be used in some massive MIMO applications. Even we have the multi-band frequency antennas. It can be realized when you try to design the antenna in the format of array structures or prefab structures or EVG structures. So instead of using one antenna for one frequency, we can use a multi-band antenna, that is the single antenna which is resonated for multiple resonances, and we could use only that particular antenna for either transmitting or receiving the signals. So it eliminates the need of multiple number of antennas in a particular applications. Very importantly, we should be well aware that the feed lines and the matching networks, it can be easily integrated with this particular antenna structure. Whatever the active devices are there, active elements are there, we can easily integrate this with respect to the microstrip antenna, and we could get some multiple number of resonances, and we could easily use it in some proper applications, whether it is related to the indoor application or whether it is related to the outdoor applications. Well, these are the disadvantages, okay, related to microstrip antenna. The bandwidth is quite low. It may vary in between 1% to 5%. The power handling capacity is very less, and the gain is limited to around 1 to 2 dB. The isolation between the feed and the radiating element is very poor, because we need to solder the patch along with the SMA connector. Okay, there can be a poor isolation between the feed and the radiating element. Okay, and when you're trying to analyze this in the format of the Smith chart, or when you try to see this in the format of a Smith chart, there has to be a point of concern wherein the resonant frequencies come to the point of 1 in case of the Smith chart, so that it indicates that the resonance is happening very clearly as far as design frequency is considered. If the point of resonance goes away from the value 1 in the Smith chart, okay, whether it is an inductive field or whether it's a reactive field, the 50 ohm impedance matching will be a very critical role, wherein you could say that the power, there should be a less reflected power which is getting back to the antenna. Okay, there should be a proper impedance match between the feed and the input and the load. So excitation of the surface waves, it is another disadvantage as far as the microstrip antenna is concerned. There are some tolerance problems are also existing in microstrip antenna. So that is why people have moved to good quality and even costlier substrates, okay, which are very expensive when you think of the RTD material. Okay, there are some more expensive alumina is there. Okay, so all these are quite expensive materials, wherein a common man will not be able to afford it, and it could not be able to even perform the research in a very good sense. So the last disadvantage is like the size of the antenna will be quite large at the low frequency. So the size of the antenna is quite large at the low frequency. So that is another major concern. So these are a few disadvantages which are quoted, and yeah. So applications, well, many applications are there. It could be used in pagers, mobile communications, Doppler and other radar communication, satellite communication, radio altimeter, command guidance, telemetry in missiles, feed element in complex antennas, satellite navigation receivers, biomedical radiators, aerospace vehicles, high performance aircraft, spacecraft, and even it is used in missiles. So this is the source which I have derived from the internet resource. Okay, well, earlier in the mobile phone, the antennas were occupying the space well near to the battery, or exactly below the back. But you could see that the antennas are now it has been placed on the edges of that particular phone. Okay, it's what it indicates it, the antenna, whatever it has been designed, they are quite miniature in size. they are quite very compact in size. Okay, different resonance frequencies are there, and different type of an antennas are there. You can see it has been numbered with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, 1 and 2 are WAN antennas, GPS antennas, which are designed at different frequencies: 850, 900, 1800, 1900, 2100, 1575 megahertz. Okay, third and fourth is a Wi-Fi and the WiMAX antennas designed at in the gigahertz range. Okay, 2.3 to 2.4, 2.4, 2.5. Okay, so various antennas are there which are occupying its own space along the edges of that particular mobile phone. Okay, so it's very important to even go for the miniaturization of the antennas. The antennas should be very compact as far as the accommodating it in the devices are concerned. So it can even that is why we call it as a planar antennas. Okay, so yeah, even it can be implemented. We can design these type of a microstrip antenna also on the flexible substrate. These are the different shapes, okay, antenna shapes that can be accommodated. Even apart from this, you have something called the fractal shape. Okay, you have planar inverted F antenna. Okay, it resembles the shape of the different types. Okay, rectangular, square, circular, annular ring, elliptical, and triangular. So all these designs have the individual what you call like a design equations are there. You have to theoretically go through those equations. I will show you the equations which are being used in this particular part of the explanation, and you could design properly, and you can even go for the fabrication. Feeding techniques. Yeah, the first one is the coaxial probe feed technique. You can see there is a patch. Okay, so this is a patch which has got the length L and the width as a W. This is the top view, and the bottom view is the coaxial feed getting connected from the bottom, and which is shown in this particular side view. Okay, on the top we have the patch which is shown in the thick line. Okay, so it has got its own dielectric constant, whether you are taking RTD rod or whether you are going for any alumina based substrate or any glass epoxy or FR4. Okay, so on the other side of this patch surface there is a ground plane. Okay, so there is a contact made from the patch which is drilled through this particular dielectric material, and it is contacted with the metal patch. Okay, so the advantage of this design is like it is easy to fabricate and easy to match by controlling the position. But before going to this particular aspect of feeding technique, that is coaxial probe feeding, I normally prefer to go for the various simulation iterations, and then you can easily put a hole on the patch and you can go for the fabrication. So unless and until if you are not going for any many number of iterations, you won't be getting the proper result. So simulation aspect is very important. Simulation you could go for with the help of i3D or HFSS. You have the FICO software is also there. So many number of softwares are available in the market. You could go for any one of them, design it properly, set the resonance frequency, and then you could get the proper resonance once if the designed theoretical design equations are correct. The disadvantages associated with this type of feeding technique is like there has to be a hole drilled through the substrate, wherein you cannot say that the configuration is a planar. Conformity is not safe to be proper with respect to coaxial probe feeding technique in microstrip antenna. And when you try to add the metal wire getting connected to this patch, there is something which gets which comes into the contact of probe inductance. So matching is the important, impedance matching is the important, because if the impedance matching is not done properly, then the antenna would not be able to resonate at that particular frequency. So thicker substrate, there is a matching problem because it has to be connected through a drilling of a hole through the dielectric substrate. Second one is microstrip line feed. Okay, easy to fabricate. Okay, as you can see, there is a patch which is connected to a line. Okay, again on the other side of this particular patch there is a ground plane. So SMA connector sits here, and we can exact this particular antenna. So matching problem, not that serious here. Okay, so it is easy to model, and also there is one problem associated with this is like spurious feed line radiation or the surface wave excitation plays a dominant role. Okay, and this is the insect kind of a feeding. There are some more type of the feeding techniques along the non-radiating edges. So the B1 is along the radiating edges with insect feeding. Okay, so you need to feed the antenna only along the width of the patch antenna. So because the whatever the fringing fields are arised here, it only arises along the width. So hence we call the width the edges along the width as the radiating edges, and the edges along the length we call it as the non-radiating edges. There is one more type of feed line technique, what we call it as a radiating edge with quarter wave transformer. Okay, so this is the basic structure. Okay, wherein we have worked on this, and we got the proper resonances as far as the design is concerned. There are aperture coupled feed techniques are there, wherein three different dielectric materials are being used. As you could see in the figure, there is an radiating patch on the top surface. Okay, in the middle you have the ground plane with an aperture, that is a slot, and on the other side there is another dielectric material which is having the feed. Okay, so side view, okay, upper patch, there is a ground plane in between the upper dielectric material and the lower dielectric material. Okay, and you are trying to connect the field line on the other side of the patch. So it gives the broader bandwidth when you try to have the aperture coupled field method, and it is little bit difficult to fabricate. Okay, some independent optimization of the feed substrates are also it can be obtained, and separate antennas and the feed circuit layers it is required. Some of the spurious radiations are arised due to the slot which is being incompensated in this particular design. Proximity, it has got two different dielectric material. Okay, so you could even go for the same dielectric material, but you need to have more than one dielectric material. On the top you have the patch, on the other dielectric material there is a microstrip feed. Okay, you could connect the SMA connector to the bottom feed substrate, and you could measure the different antenna parameters. But the disadvantages associated with this proximity coupled feed is like it is difficult to construct, and the surface wave losses are very high, and by this the gain is whatever the gain we obtained is bit less. Cavity backed aperture coupled feeding technique. Okay, so you have a dielectric layer, and on that particular top of the dielectric layer you have the patch. So there is a feed network between the top of the layer and the other dielectric layer, and there is a coupling slot which is being rigged up here. So this is what I have said with respect to the aperture coupled feeding techniques. So you could even place some foam kind of a thing. You could even place some plastic resonators. Okay, wherein you could get some different antenna resonances. Electromagnetically coupled feed. Okay, so this is the another arrangement of the feeding the antenna. Well, when you deal with respect to the different antenna parameters, whether it is a bandwidth or gain enhancement or the low VSWR value, you have to be very careful, and you need to keep some of the important things in mind. Okay, and they are like you need to go for the single layer geometry, and you need to use low dielectric constant materials such as a hard foam. You can even go for FR4 since it is less costlier, okay, when compared to the other materials. Thick substrates, well, again, it is a factor of the thickness of that particular substrate. It should be greater than 0.05 lambda free space wavelength. Okay, so unless and until if you don't maintain this particular condition, surface waves are generated. Okay, you need to have the radiation, or you need to design a patch wherein the surface waves are less. So non-contact feeding techniques, that is a proximity coupled patches, which I have shown, which I have stated in the previous slide. So you should even design an antenna where in case you should obtain the multiple resonances. Okay, whether you use aperture coupled patches or whether you can go for the stacked patches. So in all the cases, you should obtain the multiple resonances. But basically, to all these points, you need to design it properly. Okay, theoretically or before going to the theoretically practical implementation, the whatever the antennas which you people are going to develop, which you are going to fabricate it. First, I prefer that perform the simulation, perform the various iterations. Okay, then you will get the proper results. Pro stack. I have said this. So here you have the multiple dielectric materials are there. Okay, so you can even go for this kind of stacked patch, which is exacted through coaxial feed technique. So it has got the advantage of robustness, ease of construction, good isolation between the feed network and the antenna element. Disadvantages are the cross polarization levels are quite high compared to the copolar levels, and it's a little bit difficult to design. Okay, but in order to get the cross polarization levels, I mean below the copolar levels, you could even go for the usage of the active elements, okay, on the patch surface so that it resonates properly. Okay, so analysis can be done in the format of full wave structural domain with different modes getting exact. Aperture coupled patch, I have said it. This is the stacked patch. Coplanar waveguide feed stacker patch. You can see the multiple number of different dielectric materials are used. The only thing is that the size of the antenna gets increased. Okay, that is the only factor with respect to this thing. But what you can gain out of this particular design is that the bandwidth is quite enhanced, and even in terms of gain also the it is quite increased as far as this particular design is concerned. Different antenna materials. Okay, even you can go for the nano materials. Okay, you could coat the antenna with a different type of nano materials using RF sputtering technique, and you can even see its geometrical layout, the coated structure on the that particular antenna, whether it is uniformity is maintained or not, and you can place the antenna in an anechoic chamber for the measurement of the different antenna parameters like return loss, VSWR, and the power ratings. So you can even check all these things. So that is the important aspect of the different antenna elements which are to be used in the different wireless systems. The ultimate aim of the antenna designer is to obtain the enhanced bandwidth with less VSWR value, that is the voltage standing wave ratio. It should be in between 1 to 2, so that there is a proper matching between the input and load, and also the reflected power it should be very less between the source and the load. So massive MIMO is another area of interest wherein you can design the antenna, wherein the scaling of the antenna beams are nowadays it is very important. Most of the antennas are being designed, which are designed till now. They are the omnidirectional type of an antennas, wherein there may be a user in that particular area, there may be a user who may not be in that particular area. So there is unnecessary wastage of the power, there is unnecessary wastage of the resources. Okay, so spectrum utilization has to be done very properly. So that is why people are moved into the MIMO kind of a concept, massive MIMO kind of a concept. Okay, so now the era is of the 5th generation, wherein we call it the NR, no radio band. So people have moved from the omnidirectional concept of radiating of the signals to the scaling of the beam, wherein the user moves in that particular vicinity of that particular antenna. Another form of the patch design is the parasitic gap coupled patch. Okay, so with the help of this design also, you could get the multiple resonances. Okay, so you could see there is a single substrate, and there is a gap between the three different patches which are exacted through the coaxial feed technique. Again, there is a drilling of a hole from the bottom of the substrate to the top of the substrate. Okay, so there is a design for all the three different patches, and it should be very importantly taken into the consideration of wavelength. Okay. So these are the basic mathematical design equations as far as the rectangular microstrip fluid line is taken into the account. Okay, so you need to first set the frequency. You need to frame up the design frequency FR. Okay, so the patch width is given uh, by the equation W is equal to C by 2 FR, where C is the speed of light and FR is the resonance under root of epsilon R plus 1 divided by 2. So epsilon R is the permittivity of the particular material. So length of the patch N is given by N is equal to C by C divided by 2 into under root 2 FR multiplied by under root of epsilon R minus 2 into delta N. So delta N is the extension length. Okay, so it is a factor of epsilon E as well as width and the thickness of the substrate. So we need to properly substitute the different values. Okay, so there is an epsilon E factor also. So we need to calculate the epsilon E dependent on the epsilon R value. So when you try to substitute all the different values, you will get the delta N. So that we need to substitute in the equation for the length of the patch. Okay, so they will get the value for the width of the patch as well as length of the patch. There is the another aspect of designing the microstrip fluid line. So you have the width of the fluid line as well as the width of the quarter wave, and also the length of the fluid line as well as the length of the quarter wave. So it is the function of again the thickness is involved. If you take the example of refractive dielectric material, it has got a thickness of around 1.6 mm. So H is 1.6 mm. The width is the value which you are going to get it when you substitute the C value, FR value, and epsilon R value in the first equation. Okay, so that you need to substitute it here, and you need to get the value of A before getting the value for W. So A is Z0 by 60 under root of epsilon R plus 1 divided by 2 plus epsilon R minus 1 divided by epsilon R plus 1 multiplied by a factor of 0.23 plus 0.11 divided by epsilon R. So yeah, there is a equation for the length of the fluid line and the width of the fluid line, length of the quarter wave transformer and the width of the quarter wave transformer. So you need to design all these things, then you can go for the designing it on the AutoCAD software. Okay, and in order to get the better accuracy, we design the antenna initially by taking the AutoCAD. We do the geometrical shapes of the patch or the different types of the antennas in the AutoCAD software. This is the RMSA rectangular microstrip antenna characterization. Okay, you could see that the fringing fields are generated, they are radiated along the width. Okay, so there is no radiation along the length. Okay, so there is only the radiation, fringing field radiation getting radiated outwards, okay, along the width of the patch. So this antenna is excited through the coaxial feed technique. In this B figure, okay, it's a voltage and current variation. So the voltage is maximum along the edges, whereas the current is minimum at the middle. Okay, so it is the type of it is basically the radiation which is happening or it is occurring with respect to the microstrip antenna design. Some of the very important key points to remember when you try to go for anything called as the selection of material or the design of microstrip, it is like the bandwidth is directly it has got its impact on the width of the antenna. Okay, so the larger the aperture size, the broader will be the bandwidth. Okay, so that is one thing, and of course the gain also increases as the width of the antenna is width of that particular patch is quite more. Okay, so that is one aspect. So as the thickness increases, fringing fields and the probe inductance it also increases, and hence the frequency gets decreased and the impedance plot shifts upwards. So you need to keep this this aspect of whenever you try to design the antenna. Okay. The selection of the material also it has to be chosen in such a way that the value of the epsilon R value should be less. Okay, if it is more, again it's a kind of disadvantage thing, wherein you may not achieve the broader bandwidth. Okay, the both length and width will be increased when you try to uh, 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 take the epsilon r value of any dielectric material to be less. Yeah, when you have this the width parameter to in a very larger context, there will be a more number of fringing fields getting generated across that particular aperture area. So because of this, the bandwidth and gain, it also increases. With the increase in the value of tan delta, okay, that is the loss tangent. So dielectric losses increases, and the input impedance locus, it gets moved towards the left hand side of the uh, lower impedance value. So bandwidth increases, but the efficiency and the gain, it gets decreased. So that is the thing. When you are going for the designing of the antenna or exciting the antenna with respect to the quasar probe feeding technique, the probe diameter, it should be decreased so that the inductance again it gets increased. So the resonance of the frequency gets decreased and the input impedance locus moves upwards to the inductive region. So you need to remember these points whenever you are trying to design the antenna, microstrip antenna with a different microstrip feed techniques and with the different designs. One example which is shown here, that is the design of rectangular microstrip antenna for the Wi-Fi application. Okay, the range of frequency what they have taken is a 2.4 to 2.48. So substrate they have chosen it to be of epsilon value having to be 2.32. Thickness is 0.16 centimeter. Tan delta value is 0.001. Okay, so all these values have been added in these equations. Okay, we need to get the value for the width of the patch as well as the length of the patch. So there is the width of the patch what we have obtained is 4.7 centimeter, and the length of the patch is 3.9 centimeters. So width of the patch is quite greater compared to the length of the patch. Practical design, rectangular microstrip antenna excited with the help of the feed line, microstrip feed line technique. Okay, you could see the patch here. Okay, so the width is quite large compared to the length. Okay, there is a quarter wave transformer which has got its own width denoted as WT and the length denoted as an LT, and the feed getting connected to this patch through an SMA connector. Okay, it has got its own length of the feed as well as width of the feed. So after theoretically calculating, you need to design this particular shape of the patch in the AutoCAD software. This is designed for 2.44 gigahertz, taking into the value of the epsilon to be equal to 2.32, h 0.16 centimeters or else 1.6 mm, tan delta value is 0.01. And after substituting all these values, you obtain the value for the length of the patch to be equal to 3.9 centimeter and width of the patch to be equal to 4.7 centimeter. Length of the feed line and width of the feed line, okay, the dimensions are in the format of millimeters, 10.19 into 3.35. The length of the quarter wave and the width of the quarter wave are 10.18 cross 0.66 mm. You could even go for the circular shape microstrip antenna with the help of the equation which is provided here. Okay, 1.8412 C divided by 2 pi RC into under root of epsilon r. So the equation for RE is given. When you try to substitute the values for H, okay, you'll be definitely getting the value for RE, and that you could design it, and you could get the circular microstrip patch antenna, where R is the physical radius of the circular patch. Well, coming to the designs which we have done, recently we have worked on the microstrip feed technique, microstrip feed line technique with the help of the nanomaterial coating of the antennas. Okay, initially what we have done is we have designed the microstrip antenna which is having its own preferred length and a width with whatever the equations that are being considered, and they are being designed and the geometries are being put in the AutoCAD software, and later on even we have performed the simulation iteration with respect to such designs. The other set of antennas what we have designed is the nanometal coated antennas. In different contexts, we have taken different types of the nanomaterials like silver nanomaterial, titanium oxide, and even the gold nanomaterials also used. So different nanomaterials, when they are coated on these patch surfaces, whether it is on the upper side of the patch or on the ground plane, we had the different number of the resonances, and even the radiation pattern was also quite broader in nature, and even some of the antennas also have exhibited the directive beams. Okay, and well, there was the good impact in the VSWR value, which was quite below 1.5. Okay, it's very important to note that the VSWR of the antenna should be very less, which is in the order of 1 to 2. But if you get the value less than 1.5, it is quite a good antenna. So the antennas are designed for the 8 gigahertz frequency. As you could see, the resonances are obtained at two different frequencies here. Okay, at 6.375 gigahertz, and at the second, the resonance with respect to a nanometal coated antenna is at 6.4 gigahertz. Of course, the bandwidth is quite less. Okay, since these are the primary antennas, the radiation patterns are omnidirectional in nature with less cross polar level. So this is the SEM image which we have taken. We have the facility of FESEM in our university. So that is how we have obtained the FESEM image. Okay. So the bandwidth with respect to the coating and non-coating are in terms of 3.10 and 2.17. Okay, so this is the conventional antenna. Definitely, we obtain the lesser bandwidth as far as the coated antenna or non-coated antenna is concerned. So second antenna, we named it as the pentagonal slotted with the 4 slits microstrip antenna with a defected ground structure. Okay, so there is a defect in the ground structure wherein circular slot is being issued on the ground plane. Okay, so this is one design, and here also we have coated it with the gold nanomaterial. Okay, again we obtained a multiple number of resonances. You could see the radiation patterns are quite broad-sided in nature. Okay, which are measured in the anechoic chamber. So bandwidth obtained with respect to these designs are in the order of 28% and 29.40%. So extreme left-hand side, the non-coated antenna, and on the right-hand side you have the coated antenna. The next design is that we have increased the number of slots in this, and there is one more pentagonal slot is there. But what we have done is, instead of circular slot, we have gone into the aspect of the triangular slot on the ground plane. We could obtain the multiple number of resonances here, 3 different resonances here. Okay, and the bandwidth increment was quite enhancing from 2.10% to 22% with respect to the non-coated antenna, and the bandwidth got increased from 1.30% to 24.50% when you take into the consideration of the gold coated nanomaterial. Okay, so the radiation patterns are quite enhanced one, but of course the cross polar levels are quite large here. Well, we can still minimize the cross polar levels, and we can go for the higher versions of the copolar. This is another antenna wherein you can see you have the double pentagonal slotted patch antenna. Okay, so 2 vertical slots are there, and 4 different horizontal slots acting as arms are being designed and fabricated. But we have changed from circular slot defected ground to the triangular one, and then from triangular one we have changed it to rectangular one. So there was an improvement in the bandwidth. Okay, from 24 or 25%, it got increased to 35%, and even the return loss was quite enhancing one. It got dipped up to the minus 42.97 dB. Well, the radiation patterns are of the shape of the donut shape patterns, and for the coated one, we got it as an omnidirectional antenna. Okay, the VSWR values are also quite less with respect to this design. In the next design, what we have done is like we have placed the four different four slots, okay, and there is a square slot on the different on the deflected ground plane. Okay, so here we obtained three different resonances. Of course, the bandwidth is a bit less here, but still we could get the good radiation pattern, and there is a quite larger dip in the return loss also. The same thing, but we have the plus shape slot here. Okay, so along with the four rectangular slot, we have the plus shape slot and the pentagonal slot on the ground plane. Again, the bandwidth got improved. So when we try to compare all these designs with respect to the conventional antenna, all these are like quite enhanced versions, and we could use it in some wireless applications, whether you are going for indoor applications or outdoor applications. This is another format. Okay, so there is the arrow kind of a slot is fabricated on the ground, deflected ground, wherein you could see two different resonances, maximum enhancement in the impedance bandwidth up to 42.10% as well as 45.30%. So all these antennas are designed in our laboratory, microwave electronics laboratory, and we could get the measurement of the antenna radiation pattern in the anechoic chamber in the Department of Electronics, Gulbarga University. So yeah, these are the few designs. This is another design of the patch, a multi-slotted microstrip antenna, coated with and non-coated. So this is we have used a titanium oxide material here, okay, and it is coated using the RF sputtering technique. The maximum enhancement in the bandwidth was being obtained. Okay, so three different resonances at 5.95, 9.88, and 12.22 gigahertz. Even the radiation patterns are quite broader one. This is the another design, plus shape deflected ground structure. For non-coated antenna, it has got two different resonances, and for the silver nanometal coated antenna, it is having three independent resonances. This is the novel A-type multi-slotted microstrip antenna, wherein the bandwidth enhancement was quite large. Okay, it was up to around 59.70%, and with the three different resonances as far as the conventional one is concerned. So two different plus shape slots are being featured on the ground plane. This is another antenna, but the conventional antenna achieved a bandwidth of around 61.20%. Okay, when compared to the silver nanometal coated antenna, you could use it for some ultra wideband applications. Okay, so the cross polar levels are a little bit high as compared to the copolar levels. We can minimize this. We can do still more design precision in the AutoCAD, and you can even go for some simulation aspect, and we can still more reduce the cross polar levels with respect to this design. This is the antenna nanomaterial. Sorry, this is the new millimeter wave antenna. Okay, it is hardly 5 mm. Okay, in its dimension. We could place 16 antennas. Okay, it is being fabricated in the integrated chip. Okay, so this is the research which was done in NYU. Okay, so it was designed for the frequency of 60 gigahertz. On-chip antenna, we call it as an on-chip antenna, which is used for millimeter wave application. This is the fabricated design. Nanyang Technological University. It was done at the Nanyang Technological Singapore in the year 2005. Flexible antennas. You have different types of flexible material. Even we have the flexible substrates are there. You could go for the fabrication of those copper patch on the substrate of those flexible substrate, and even you can put it on the some flush material. And even nowadays the research is going on in order to install the antennas inside the human body. Okay, so that is the new form wherein we call it as an on-body applications. Okay, so antennas used in the on-body applications. So this is fabricated neodymium magnetic array placed in the contact of PDFE PNC multi-layer antenna. Basically it has given the very high broader bandwidth, as well as the value of the VSW are quite below the value which was equal to 1.5. So this is the short backfire antenna designed. So magnetodielectric loaded patch antenna is the another area wherein you could get the enhancement in the bandwidth, as well as the value of the VSWR to be very less, and even the radiation characteristics of such antenna is also quite a good one. So nano film antennas are the another antennas, wherein even I have shown you some of the designs which are done in the laboratory with the help of the nanomaterials which are coated using the RF spectrum technique. So you can even go for such kind of a designs, wherein the again you need to have the concern of miniaturizing its size. Okay, you need not to design it in a very large scale. You need not to design it in a very larger shape. So you have to minimize its shape, keeping in view of the frequency aspect, design frequency aspect, as well as the wavelength. So graphene based patch antennas for the terahertz system. This is the design issue. Yeah, so this is regarding my topic. Okay, if there are any doubts, you could please send me an email. Okay, to email address which is mentioned here, amreshp@gmail.com. Okay, so I'll be very happy to answer all these queries. Okay, and I will definitely send the answers to the queries which you people are having it. Definitely, if you want any help with respect to the measurements or else the designs, okay, you need to you just contact me over the mobile number, or else even you can put a mail. Okay, I'll be happy to help you. Once again, I would like to thank the organizers, okay, and the people behind this Atal program, okay, and even I thank principal, the dean, okay, and the coordinating team of this workshop, FDP. Okay, so once again, thank you once again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor. It was a great contribution to the research community. You have really justified your role despite your medical conditions, worst medical conditions. In fact, sir was hopeful to get recovered and presented directly through online. Unfortunately, his health conditions did not help him to speak with a clear voice. Many of your people were commenting in the chat box that the voice is really irritating. In fact, I mentioned that he is suffering from some medical illness in a short while ago, before 1 or 2 days. I hope you can understand the situation of the resource person. But even at this situation, he has recorded this lecture and shared it with us and requested us to play it back, because he does not want to disappoint the organizing committee as well as the participants who anticipated him to speak. His generosity and enthusiasm towards keeping up the promise are to be highly appreciated. I once again mention about this. We all can pray to Almighty for a speedy recovery. right? I've communicated whatever I wanted to mention. May I now request Professor, our beloved Professor, Mr. G. Sivakanda sir, to propose vote of thanks, formal vote of thanks for the professor who really justified his role. Please, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm really honored and lucky to have the opportunity to give a vote of thanks on this Atal FDP. I would like to express my sincere thanks to the resource person, Dr. Amrish Prabhakar Amalgi, Assistant Professor, Department of PG Studies and Research Electronics. Even at this pathetic situation, without disappointing us, he really honored this FDP in very enthusiastically by uploading a video with his informative and significant speech on radiation mechanism of antenna and its different types and the design, mathematical design, along with many practical examples. I would like to thank our beloved principal, head of the department, convener, and the entire organizing team of this FDP. Finally, I would like to thank our beloved audience for showing their interest and making this session as a grand success. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, participants. I hope we have come to the last part of the session. Thank you so much. We are all really honored by your presence. You are the one who made this show a grand success. Thank you so much. With this, the second day is coming to an end. With a few announcements regarding the sharing of PPT as well as recorded videos. As per the guidelines given by Atal Academy, we are supposed to share the details, recorded video lectures with all of you. At the same time, we will upload them in the Atal website. Kindly fill up the feedback link, which will be treated as attendance. We will sincerely take them inside. You please fill up your queries also. Yeah, we will request. We will request the coordinator Kaushik sir, if you are available, kindly take care of this issue. And please see to that the link is again. Can you?
Dear participants, please kindly hold on for a few more minutes. I will check the feedback link and I will post it again. Please kindly hold on, dear participants.
Tomorrow we shall begin our day with another interesting session on MIMO. Many people started asking questions regarding massive MIMO technology. Dr. Chinmay Saha, Associate Professor, Department of Avionics, IISST, Trivandrum from Kerala. He is joining us tomorrow morning by 9:15. And after his session, we have Dr. Vakula Madam, Associate Professor, Department of ECE, NIT Warangal from Telangana. She is joining us for the second session. And in the third session, we are going to have Dr. Ramya Vijay Madam from Shastra University. So we will have a busy schedule once again tomorrow. And there will not be any issues. And we will definitely taking care of it. A few minutes, please. Once the link is made ready, we will get back to you. We will post the link once again. Please wait. Right. Until then, the session is kept open and on. Don't worry. And on the fourth day, we will have Yuvaraj sir, Dr. S. Yuvaraj, Assistant Professor, Department of EC, NIT from Andhra Pradesh. He will be joining us for the first session on Thursday. And on the second session of the fourth day, Dr. M. Chakravarti, scientist from Hyderabad, he will be joining us. And the last session of that day, we will have Amar Prakash Rao from NIT Warangal, Telangana once again. And then in the last day, the first session, we will have Dr. Kurmendra, followed by Kurmendra sir. We will have Dr. Shanmunathan sir from Pondicherry University.
Dear participants, please kindly hold on. Some of the participants are submitted the feedback come attendance. Few participants are facing some issues. I will check it once. Dear participants, please kindly hold on for few minutes. Some of the participants are already filled the feedback come attendance. For some participants, the link is working. For few more participants, the link is not working. I can understand the situation. Please kindly give some more time. I will check it once. Then I will resend it here.